Howie, is the other day somebody had mentioned about Men in Black, and I just casually mentioned I had a Man in Black or a Man in Black experience, and they asked me to tell them more about it. So it's easier for me to make a video about it than to write it down. So, and I have written it down before. I've mentioned to people what happened, but it was absolutely a strange experience. And the only way I could put it down to is a Man in Black or a Men in Black type experience. Now, it happened in Milton, Keynes, of all places, in about 2013. I was appearing on a TV show there on Sky 200 that was hosted by my late friend Ian Crane. And I think in the back room was Johnny P, my friend from Guildford, and a few other people. After the show was ended, we went into Milton Keynes to have a beer. Now, Milton Keynes is a very modern. It's not like an old English town. It's like an American like city. Like it's like something you see in California. It's very modern. And we went into a pub on one of the main streets there, a fairly big pub. And it was not long after my psychopath book has come out. So people were all around me and were connected to the show of friends of Ian were asking me, did you ever have this experience? Did you ever have that experience? Did you ever see them like this? Have you ever, one of them told me about a few experiences they had. And he said, and I said, I think they're demons. And he goes, they are demons, or something like that, or they're demonically, there's some kind of demon aspect to it. So the guy I was talking to, who was a friend of Johnny, my friend from Guildford, he said, look around behind you. There's a really weird guy over there. And I turned around and there was a guy standing wearing a bowler hat, a pinstripe suit, a pair of glasses that were circular lenses, and he was leaning on a brolly, an umbrella like this. And he had the smile on his face that was like this, like really exaggerated and staring at me. And he wasn't drinking, he wasn't doing anything. And I looked around, what the hell is that? And he goes, I don't know, but he just appeared there. He didn't say he appeared out of thin air, he just said he just appeared, like he just noticed him then. And he's been staring at us the whole time. So I kept looking around and he was looking in our direction. And the smile on his face was, have you ever seen a film Burnt Offerings? I'll put the picture up here. There was a chauffeur in it that kills Bette Davis, and he had this same smile on the face like that. But his image was like Jonathan Steed from the Avengers. Now, he didn't do anything for the hour or so that we were there. He just stared at us. He didn't buy a drink. He didn't drink. He just stared at us with leaning on that brolly. And what he looked like was a pastiche of somebody trying to be a stereotypical Englishman. The sort of like the bowler hat, the brolly, the pinstripe suit, and the whole look, and the jolly fellow. And in John Keel's work on the Men in Black, he talks about them looking like or behaving like pastiches of people. Like in the 1960s, they would go around New York or go around America following people and dress like, say, coppers looked in 1950s movies. They were trying to look like Americans. And when they'd go into restaurants, they wouldn't know how to use knives and forks, or they would try to do things that were out of character, like they were trying to fit in, but almost like trying too hard to fit in. And that was very much the impression I got of this thing. This thing was definitely, it was trying so hard to be an Englishman as it perceived an Englishman. So it modeled itself on, Patrick Macnee in the Avengers TV show from the 60s in such a way that it thought it would fit in the same way in the 1960s when they were reported in New York. They would look like they were Jimmy Cagney or something from 50s movies. The fashions were out of time, just slightly, or not right, or too try hard. And as if they're trying to camouflage themselves. Now, there's there's the theory about this that I can possibly bring to it is because I had sort of generated some kind of signal that was seen by the other world. I believe the Men in Black thing is a fairy thing anyway. That this thing, you know, arrived when I arrived, kind of thing, and was there in the room looking at me as if they'd noticed me and they were told me they were paying attention. And it hasn't happened ever since. And nothing sort of UFO paranormally like that happened around that time. But it was a strange experience. I have to say it was quite unsettling. I wouldn't say frightening, but unsettling. And well, that's basically the story. I'm convinced it was a Man in Black type thing. I believe these things are real, that there's some kind of connection to the fairy world, a modern fairy. And that somehow me going on TV and sort of like, you know, making a good impression or getting big ratings or something had set this thing off, or set this other world off, and they came to have a look at me and let me know they were there. But that's it. That's it. My Men in Black experience. It was very peculiar indeed.